Okay. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for
Hi,
being on the podcast.
thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So let's start with just we both work in entertainment and tell everyone a little bit about how you got involved and then relating to COVID. We have an industry where we meet people through being at events and that's how things happen. So talk about that adjustment and those freak out moments if you're anything like me where you're like, what am I going to do with my life now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I moved to LA about 2.5 years ago and I dove right into red carpet hosting. Like that was my MO. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like we've talked about this. We both have had like similar goals in mind. And I feel like we both got really lucky to get to have those experiences that we did so early on in our time in LA. We were going to movie premieres, we were going to charity events, award shows, like we were out in
Yeah.
those streets
Right,
and then
right.
it was just gone. And then in addition to the hosting stuff, I started a music blog called micdropmusic.com, and that was another passion of mine on the side, was to interview artists. And I would go to concerts, I would go to festivals, and I was running a team of like 20
Oh,
kids all over the country. Yeah. So there was writers, photographers, videographers. We had them in everywhere from Colorado, Florida, New York. We actually even had a writer in Australia. So we were all over and we were
wait,
going to,
so you just started this all by yourself?
yeah, I
That's
did.
incredible.
I know it's so crazy that it like was what, well, so we're on a hiatus at the moment because I mean, there's nothing really going on. And we did keep it going probably until about May of the COVID situation. And I just knew my kids were going through so much on their own. And I'm like, I don't want to make you guys have to churn out articles just because you need internship credit or whatever the case may be. So I kind of was the one that pulled trig on it and was like, you know what, guys, let's just take some time off and try and like just play it by ear. And I was hoping we would be back at this point, but music is, and it's coming back in different places, which is what's
Right.
interesting because my guy down in Australia is like, we're like moving and grooving again. My kids on the East Coast are like, yeah, it's coming back, but like us on the West Coast, we're still so slow. So
Yeah, and it's so finicky because even when it is safe, it's like you don't really know what it's going to look like as far as people actually going and getting comfortable. It's just, and I think about the artists too, that they've lived this nonstop go, go, go life. And then suddenly all of
yeah.
it stops. It's just, I always talk about like hindsight and the things you learn, but you're almost like making me feel like, yeah, you're right, that it's okay to freak out because I did feel like suddenly amazing things
Oh,
are happening and then it comes to a halt and you're like, oh my God, am I ever going to meet anyone? Like, should I even be here anymore? What am I doing? And the spiral.
oh, that was every day. Yeah, because everything, like you, everything that we were doing requires people. Like luckily we have things like Zoom where it's better and we can try, but it's like I realize that I'm actually such an in-person person. Like I really do thrive on those like face-to-face interactions and like the energy of like a red carpet or a festival or a concert or even just like backstage talking to somebody. Like you can't recreate that
Right.
over
And
an
just like
email
this feeling
chat.
of opportunity and excitement, just being
Yeah,
in the
you
atmosphere
don't know
is
who you're
like,
gonna
you
meet
can't get,
either.
yeah, that atmosphere type vibe over Zoom.
I know it was really, really tough. Like, so I pulled trig on the website around May, which was really hard because that was something that took up a lot of my time. And obviously, unfortunately, we don't have AfterBuzz at the moment, so that went away for me. No red carpets. That was a big thing that went away for me. And then also, I got furloughed from my day jobs too. So it was like there was nothing for me for a while. So that was, yeah, that was tough.
Okay, so now I have to get to the mental health. How did you not go crazy? Like, are you type A personality? Do you like to have something going on all the time? Or like, were
So
you freaking out?
I will say, thank God I have my dog. I'm not kidding. Like emotional support animal, that is for real.
Yeah.
She like that she saved my life, legit. Like I had purpose because I had my dog, which sounds really sad, but
I
like
love that. I think a lot of people can actually relate to that.
Yeah, like I had somebody that needed me every morning. And it's like if I didn't have her to like feed and take out and like care for, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I
ultimately, even a reason to get out of bed if you could tell yourself, I could lay here till noon, who cares? Like,
oh,
yeah,
legit.
that's a
And she
really
was
good
a
point.
puppy, you know, so she had to wake up at like 7 a.m. So like
We
we
kept
were,
you accountable.
and I would just make things up, honestly. I would, in the beginning, especially, I had these like made up schedules. I would be like, okay, I'm going to take my dog out and then we're going to go for a walk and then we're going to do yoga in the kitchen. And then we're like,
Girl,
yeah,
me too.
I had to have
Did
a
you say
fake
yoga in the kitchen?
oh, yeah. But oh,
Why
yeah,
specifically in the kitchen?
because I live in LA and my apartment is so
That's
small that the
so
kitchen
funny.
is
Yoga's
right.
in the kitchen. I love it. Hey, get it where you can, right?
I
That's
had no
so
choice.
funny.
Oh my God. Because the gyms weren't open either. Ugh, like there was truly like no outlet. Like we had to figure it out. It was
So
bad.
it sounds like you were good at kind of keeping some type of schedule, even if it was made up, at least giving yourself some purpose of the day. But did it take a minute to get there? Because I mean, what made you, and whatever you feel comfortable sharing with, of course, but what made you feel so low where if it wasn't for your animal, you don't think you would have gotten out of bed?
Well, like you were saying, I kind of had those moments where I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing here now? Because all my family, all my friends, everyone is across the country. Like I moved here alone. I didn't know anybody when I moved to LA. I kind of moved here on a whim and I moved here to follow like a really specific dream. And like that was not available to me or to anybody anymore. So I was kind of like, and I'm still kind of in that place of like, okay, I'm just kind of waiting it out. I'm hoping for the best. Like I'm because like you were saying, we had this momentum going and good things were happening. And I'm hopeful that those things will come back. But like, of course, there were so many days where I just didn't even, I'm sure I think everybody can relate to this, where like days would just go by, like days would just pass, and I would be like unaware of what day of the week it is. And like I didn't know, like people would be like, oh, it's August. And I'd be like, really? Like it's August? Like I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was just I think that was what like haunted me the most was just like the passage of time. Like the fact that it's already December is like
Right. Well,
I'm still
yeah.
in
At the
March.
beginning, I remember saying, thank God at least this is happening now, because how sad would that be if this was the holidays? And I feel like I just said that sentence, and the fact that we are here.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's been a long, that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because selfishly, I missed, like, I'm lucky to be working as a nanny, but I've said before, like, I felt like I was just losing myself, like
Oh,
my like identity, I was
my
like,
personality.
yeah,
That's the
like
thing
I
that I felt
needed
like I was losing the most. I'm like, I don't even have like things to report. Like that was the weird thing. My friends would text me and be like, "How are you? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, Nothing."
nothing
Like,
new. Yeah.
and I'm like, "This is so weird. I don't have drama. I don't have like nothing. Like, there's just nothing." And that's like a really weird feeling.
I know this is kind of like a typical question, but it is interesting. Was there anything that you discovered that you like to do, or maybe even looking like inwards on like a deeper level than just a hobby? But what kind of lessons could you say you got from this time?
God, so much, right? But like on the hobby level, I would definitely say cooking. I never got into baking, which I feel like was a big quarantine
Baking is
hobby, but
hard.
baking, I'm not a baker, but I am a chef. I'm
Okay.
becoming a chef. And I honestly pre-coronavirus, I would eat out all the time. Like
Oh,
I was
wow.
actually kind of like grossly into fast food. I would get fast food all the time. And now, like, I cook almost every meal at home. Like, I will, of course, eat out, like, if I'm being social or something, but like, not really anymore. Like, I'm mostly an at home chef. So that was cool. I didn't know
So
I was
what
really
are
capable of
Chef
that.
Jessica's
But
special?
on like a deeper level, I, f-
Oh no, sorry, my internet's being weird. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was gonna say, what are your chef specialties you can share with us?
Oh my, you know what? I really was like I said, nothing better to do. So I was getting really experimental and I was like, okay, I want to see like what foods are affecting me in what way. So I experimented like with some vegan stuff. I experimented with like a lot of non-dairy. I did the Whole 30 diet, which was like amazing. So I'm really having fun cooking like healthier alternative kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Like I
that's one of
make
my favorite things to
a
do
chicken
also.
Alfredo. Ah, so good. So good. Yeah, that was definitely the most fun.
So, I actually think that's a really brilliant piece of advice to share with people. It's kind of late now. Hopefully, it's too late now. But just by taking this time to experiment, because what better time if your body, say, like had a weird reaction to something that you tried differently, what better time than to be at home and just kind of learning how to take care of yourself in a better way in a safe space? That's like a great idea. So now that do you think you're going to implement these skills of cooking at home when life does pick up and you're busy again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it just makes you realize that like it's not that hard, you know? Like it doesn't really take that much time. It's actually less expensive. It made me personally feel better. So, I mean, I say this now because I'm not like extremely busy, but I'm hoping that take and
Right.
at least I have the skill. At least I know how to do it. I don't know if I'll always have the time, but I have the skill in my back pocket, which I didn't have before. So
Yeah, that's a great time to pick up new skills, of course. Can
yeah.
I ask you, I haven't even asked other people about this, but I'm curious with you as far as like if you are dating or single and how COVID, and they always
Yeah.
say that LA is not the place for guys, but I feel like anywhere I go, people are like, oh, the guys suck here. So it's like, well, what am I gonna do? But has
I
that been weird for you?
Well, I will say I've never been a dating app girl. Like I've tried it. Like I don't like to knock things until I've tried them.
Right.
I don't thrive on the dating apps. They're not for me. I think I've gone on maybe 3 dating app dates in my life and they've all been not great.
Yeah,
But
you're
um
not missing much. I dabble in them, but they're never as like natural as I want it to be.
well, because it's completely appearance based, you
Mhm.
know? And for me anyways, like the conversation always falls flat. It's just not good. But I did date a little bit, but there are people that I met either in real life before coronavirus or like through work, like not so much. I mean, because you don't have those chance encounters anymore. Like, and that's something that I really miss too. Me and my friends were talking about that. Like, I miss that feeling of like going out, like for a night out or something and being like, "Oh my God, like, I wonder who I'm gonna meet,"
Yeah,
or
just
like
opportunity in the air.
yeah, and, like, the thing that I will say, though, is I think everybody has been so cooped up that, like, when they do finally, like,
Yeah.
open the bars again, it's gonna be, like, open season, like, everyone's gonna just be, like, so excited and so ready to talk that I'm not even worried about it. I
That's
think we'll be
so
fine.
funny. We're all gonna be like either super into it or like half of us will be like, wait, how do I talk to people anymore? How do I
Oh,
like act normal in a social setting?
well, that's what's so weird too is, like, I I did, like, date for a little bit, and in my head, I think partly because I was unemployed for a lot of the coronavirus period, but I was like, "This is perfect." Like, I've never had so much time to get to know somebody, like, this is great. But I think other people have the mindset of like, "Oh my god, this is a terrible time to meet somebody." Like,
Mhm.
life is so unstable and so uncertain. So I feel like it only works if you're both on that mindset of like, "This is awesome." And if
Right.
not, you know?
Well, I guess that can
But I
also be a fast way to weed someone out if you already know, well, we view big things like this differently, then we might view other things differently. Just one more complication in dating. But so for someone that does love connecting, what do you do to stay positive? Like when you're having a bad day, when you've checked everything off your list, but you still don't feel fulfilled, where do you go just to keep a good mental headspace?
I think I'm a little delusional, honestly, because the thing that gets me through is like my imagination, is like my
Wait, I
image.
love that answer.
Like, it's my image of this future that I hope exists for me. Like, I go to bed and I'm like, "Okay, well, when I have my husband and when I have my car and then when I have my career and when I have my like this is all coming, like, my best days haven't even happened yet." Like,
Love that.
yeah, like, that is, like, my little fantasy life. That's what keeps me going.
You're definitely a half full kind of girl. Like you always still believe in the best is coming and the positive
You have
side of things.
to. or like you'll like, like that is another thing that this taught me is like you literally have to think that way or else it gets bleak, honestly. Like it gets hard to
Yeah.
get through if you don't
I
think that.
haven't heard that answer in a long time. I think it's easier said than done of just like, yeah, focus on the positive, but especially as the months progress and up and down and going back into lockdown and out of lockdown, it does get hard sometimes to keep
Oh
that.
yeah.
So is there any like secret of how do you stay hopeful for a consistent amount of time?
I will say that it's getting harder. Like as it goes on, as this drags on, like especially this most recent lockdown again, when I have friends on other parts of the country that their lives back to normal, it adds that other layer of like, God, should I be here? Like, should I be doing this? But like I said, I think I'm just a little bit delusional. I think I'm a little bit crazy because I just really do. I I will say I have been trusting my intuition. Like I have this intuition that I like to follow. And I feel like I know when it's time to go. I know when it's time to give up. I know when it's time to like, I don't know. Like, so I feel like just listen to your intuition, like whatever it's telling you to do, whether it be to go for something or to pull out, like it's probably right.
Do you find that it's easier to listen to that inner voice when things are slowed down now? Like, do you think if it was just as busy as it was before, the messages would be as clear?
Oh, that's such a good question. I honestly think you're right. I do think it has something to do with having time to actually think about my life and what's going on. Because before, I'm sure, like everyone else, I was kind of like a machine. I was like, okay, well, I have my shift from 8 to 5, and then I have my carpet from 5 to this, and then I have my workout from 8 to whatever, like my days were very boom, 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 structure. I had no free time, like I didn't even have, like I was saying, I didn't even have time to cook. So yeah, I don't know if those thoughts would have come so clearly. I do think that that's something that this year has brought me is just time to actually think, which is kind of nice until you think too much and then you're like, turn it
Oh
off.
my God, right? It's that fine balance. And speaking of balance, I was gonna ask, how do we transition? Because I struggle with that too, where it's like, okay, I've gotten used to the way life is now, but when events do start picking up and things like that, how do we keep these practices actually implemented in our life?
I know, I think about that all the time too. Like I don't know. I'm equally, luckily for me, I did go back to work. So I'm starting to like ease back into work. I work at Pure Bar Hollywood, and then I also work at a hotel. So I have my 2 day jobs back, which is really great, but I'm only at both of those 2 days a week. So I'm only working a total of 4 days a week. So it's like, okay, I'm not back into like a crazy work schedule. Like I'm easing back into work, which is nice. So I think that's how it's gonna go. I think it's gonna be like, okay, maybe you'll have like one red carpet a week or one event or something. Like I don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna be like how we were,
you're
which I think,
probably right. So we can kind of like baby step ease back into it.
yeah. Yeah, I think, you're not, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you will, but I know I'm not gonna pressure myself and be like, okay, you need to go on like 10 dates a week. It's like, no,
Mhm.
maybe I'll go on one, maybe one every other. I don't know. I'm not gonna put like a number on it, but I don't think I'm gonna try and stress myself out with like a million things at once because we know that that doesn't work.
And I was going to ask, do you think, as far as the lessons of like slowing down and doing yoga in the kitchen and things like that,
Yeah.
do you think you'll still be able to carve out those moments for you and maybe say no to some of the more work things if you need a personal day or something like that?
Oh my, I was literally just talking about this to my mom today because she's a teacher, and I was talking about how Zoom is amazing, and like now we realize that Zoom can account for so many different things. And
Mhm.
like we were talking about how kids nowadays, they're not going to get to have like snow days or hurricane days or fire days. Like those won't exist in the future. They're just going to go to school on Zoom. And I'm like,
Oh, I hope not.
that kind of sucks. Like sometimes you just need a day. Like
Yeah.
as a kid, as an adult, like sometimes you really do just need a day. Like whether it be a snow day, a mental health day, whatever. Like sometimes you really just need to step back and be like,
And just
"No."
something to break up the scenery and the regimen. Like you just get so stagnant if you don't have something different in your
Can you
routine.
imagine?
I
Like those
hope
poor
that parents
kids.
protest so hard if they were to try to do that because honestly, the good thing about this year is I feel like it's shown that truth of how important it is for kids to just like grow up. And I nanny for a 1-year-old, and even before he can really retain memories, it's still like you want him to learn how to be around other people and have like little baby friends. And we just take for granted that this is like as thankful as we are to have these resources in Zoom and the things that keep us connected. Just like we said before, there's no replacement. So just that interaction is so important in your just developmental skills. So I hope that school doesn't become all virtual. I don't think parents would be able to stand it with the kids at home. So
Oh my God, it's gone on long enough. I'm like, they're probably ready to kick them to the curb. They're like, all right, time to go.
what's
Back to-
one thing that you would say you just maybe overlooked of how thankful you should be, and when it was gone in 2020, you're like, damn, I never thought I would miss this that much.
Oh my God. Well, definitely, obviously, events. I mean, that's number one. I love live music. I miss live music so much. I miss, premieres and things like that. But I miss simple stuff too, like going to the movies. Like, I haven't been to a movie in I don't even know how long. Like, that isn't something that I thought I was going to do for the last time. Like,
Yeah, I said that out loud the other day too. I was like, I wish I could just go to see a movie right now. Like that's what I feel like doing.
I think the last movie I saw in the theaters was The Joker, and that came out like
Yeah.
that's I don't even know how long ago. That was like a really long time. But
And it
just
makes me reflect of just like, wow, we could just do whatever we want, really. When you think about it,
it was
like
so
we are
simple.
still
Like
so lucky to live in this country at the end of the day. As hard
it
as
was,
it is to support it sometimes, like we are very privileged.
yeah, and that's the thing is like I didn't realize how many like options we had at our disposal. Like we really, like you were saying, could do whatever we wanted. We just woke up and we're like, what do I want to do today? And I'm like, ugh, I miss that.
I do too.
Now
And
it's like,
my
what
last
can I
question
do
for
today?
what was that?
Now it's like, what can I do today? Like, what am I allowed to do
That's
today?
so true. Yeah, it definitely changes perspective, which I think sometimes that's how you learn the lessons, right? You have to see things from a different lens, and it sometimes takes multiple times before we actually get those lessons. But as far as any podcasts or TV shows, books, anything like that that's kept you positive, what would you share with the audience to maybe help them too?
Oh my God. This is a weird show. I don't know if anybody has watched it, but it's so funny. It's called What We Do in the Shadows. Have you heard of it?
Is it a book? I feel like I've heard the title.
It might be a book, or I think actually it was a movie that they made into a show, but it's kind of like the format of The Office, but it follows these vampires that live in Staten Island. Like it's such a weird show, but it made me
Wait,
laugh.
it's a movie or
Um,
a show? Because I think I did see the movie,
I think it's
actually.
both. I
I
think
think
it's both. I think
through.
it's a movie that they
Okay,
turned
I
into a
did
show.
see
It's so
that. That's so funny you said that.
I just watch these weird, like, dumb shows that are, like, mindless and make me laugh, like Schitt's Creek, like, I know everybody is, like, really into
That's what
that.
I'm on right now. I've been late to it, but yes, it's just like the mindless. I
I
get
can't
the
do anything
question, like,
heavy.
what is it about that? It's just like something that like you don't have to put effort in and you just
Yeah.
simply enjoy. Love it.
I did watch, oh god, what is the show? It it's the Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. I'm
Oh,
blanking on the name of
Little
it.
Fires Everywhere.
Little Fire, yes, that was the only, like, heavy one that I watched that I really liked, but other than that, yeah, I've been keeping it pretty dumb.
No, sometimes we need that. Honestly, I'm the same way with my TV. I don't understand it, and I know I'm missing out on probably amazing television, but for
Life
whatever
is
reason,
enough,
yeah.
like, give me the
Don't
dumb
mistake.
reality or comedy, that's about all I can handle these days.
100%. Well, it seems to be working because, like I said, I really admire how positive you are, and I hope other people can hear this message. And this episode will be dropping actually later in December. So hopefully by that time, we're even closer to the other side of this. And
God, I
believe
hope
in you,
so.
girl. Things are going to get back to normal, and then we can have a wine night and
Yes,
show each
I
other's
would
stuff in
really
person.
love that. That would be so much fun. I know we have so much in common, like, we definitely need to have a night, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm fully going to text you and ask way more about your business because I'm really impressed that you did that. That's
Oh
really
my
cool.
gosh, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to talk.
Now we can cook. Look at this. See, you can date online. Just kidding. I wish it were that easy with the guys, honestly.
I know, right? Ugh,
But
they make it hard.
thank you so much for taking the time. I hope you have a good night and we'll chat soon.
Okay, bye, babe. Have a good one.
Bye.